The Russian tank T-14 Armata was considered a promising tank of the future, with unique and innovative features. However, when it was revealed at the Victory Day parade on May 9, 2015, it presented problems in front of thousands of spectators, even during rehearsals. 8 years later, with no news confirming the evolution of the project, it is suspected that the story of the T-14 Armata is nearing its end. Let's try to understand what could have happened with the development of this project that promised to change the course of land combat. All this and much more you can find here, on the World Military History Channel. Russian vehicle designs, with unmanned turrets, existed since the 1980s. In this context, the origins of the T-14 Armata lie in the extinct T-95 tank project. This project, however, was a victim of the troubled 1990s, and was finally abandoned in 2010. However, the T-14 Armata concept took advantage of aspects of the T-95 project, combined with the innovative idea of building it from its motor. All Russian tank engines are descendants of the highly successful V2 diesel engine, designed in 1931 at the Kharkiv locomotive factory. The T-72, T-72B3, T-90 tanks, and the BMP armored vehicles of versions 1, 2 and 3, have engines that evolved from the V2. The exception is the T-64 tank engine, which was developed from a failed attempt to copy a German bomber engine. The T-14 Armata tank also started with a new engine, a Russian copy of the German SLA-16 engine, or Porsche Tour 212. The Russian engine was designated the A-85-3. However, it was not designed to serve as a tank engine, but rather as a compressor unit in oil and gas pumping stations. It proved a failure, with no sales possible despite repeated demonstrations at exhibitions. For reasons that are still unclear, Uralvagonzavod, Russia's leading tank manufacturer, decided to use the A-85-3 engine in the new T-14 Armata tank. The innovative concept meant that the tank was designed around the engine, not the other way around, as is common in tank designs. There seemed to be advantages to adopting the A-85-3, as it was smaller and more powerful, though heavier, than the engines in the modern T-72B3 and T-90. However, this decision had important consequences. The A-85-3 did not sell because it was complex, had many problems and was difficult to maintain. It would still take many running hours to refine the engine design and make it reliable and efficient. It is believed that the Uralvagonzavod was confident that the problems would be corrected over time. There are no signs that they have been fixed, and the A-85-3 likely remains a problem engine. Another consequence stems from the size of the engine. A quick solution could have been to abandon the A-85-3 engine and re-equip the T-14 Armata with the proven V-92S2F engine, which integrates the modern T-72B3 and T-90. However, as the design of the T-14 Armata was based on a relatively small engine, the V-92S2F engine does not fit in it. Thus, the T-14 Armata project would have to be redone, but there are no indications that this has occurred. In July 2021, a Russian television channel broadcast a documentary about the T-14 Armata. The program was produced at a secret armored vehicle testing facility in Russia. The 30-minute video showcased a futuristic world, including rare footage from inside the crew compartment of the T-14 Armata. In addition to engine problems, the Armata project also has to overcome other challenges. In general, Russian industry has been extremely dependent on foreign microelectronics and associated technologies. These technologies are no longer easily available to the Russians due to the various sanctions they suffered after the invasion of Ukraine. Interestingly, captured Russian equipment such as drones reveal that some electronic components are being obtained wherever they can be found, such as in Swedish traffic cameras, allegedly stolen to equip Russian unmanned aerial vehicles. According to some sources, corruption in Russia has worsened due to obstacles imposed by sanctions. The famous Red October factory in Volgograd, formerly Stalingrad, which was the scene of historic battles during World War II, portrayed in the movie Enemy at the Gates, manufactured armor plates for Russian tanks, but unfortunately it was declared bankrupt in 2018. Corruption affected the credibility of Russian industry. Since 2011, around 72,000 officials have reportedly appeared in court on corruption charges. In 2022 alone, 60 defense industry officials and 250 public procurement officials would have been prosecuted, with 27 convicted of miscellaneous violations. In addition to the problems presented, the T-14 Armata would not have a fully operational assembly line. All models to date would have been assembled manually, one by one. According to sources, an amount of 64 million rubles was allegedly allocated to build its assembly line. The factory structure and workshops would have been built but would not be in operation. Although several contracts were signed, Western tools and technologies would not have been provided due to the sanctions suffered by Russia. Likewise, Eurovagonzavod would be fully committed to sustaining the assembly lines for the T-72B3 and T-90M tanks, desperately needed to replace losses in the war with Ukraine. Some sources report the loss of at least 1,594 Russian tanks, including 448 T-72B3 series tanks and 37 T-90 series tanks, which remain rare in Ukraine. The Russian army reportedly started the war with 2,600 operational tanks, of which around 1,000 would be considered modern. The T-14 Armata, in the end, proved to be a story of technological overcoming. The engine, as the origin of the problem, means that the tank can only move satisfactorily with the monitoring of a group of technicians and engineers. In any case, only one experimental company would have been formed in the Central Military District. And the chances of this tank appearing on the front line, except for propaganda purposes, are slim. All these problems mean the loss of a whole family of armored vehicles. The original program was aimed at developing a family of Armata vehicles. It is highly unlikely that any of these projects will continue in the short or medium term. As if there weren't enough problems already, the improved 125mm 2A82IM cannon, developed especially for the T-14 Armata, represents an undeniable upgrade to the cannons of other Russian tanks, but will not fit the T-90M, as its breech block does not fit in the turret of that tank. Recently, in 2023, an example of the T-14 Armata was presented at a military exhibition in Russia, demonstrating that the design of this tank may not be abandoned. What is your opinion about the future of the T-14 Armata tank? Do you believe that the project will still become a success? Can he still be a big differentiator on the modern battlefield? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and leave your comments. Share with your friends. This is very important for the growth of the channel and to produce more videos about world military history. See you in the next video. Goodbye.